welcome back to Hometown TCG. You guys know me, my name is Josh, and I am here at not the tail end, but we'll call it dusk of the Calling, day one, here in Indianapolis, and I have been just astounded with the quality of this event. It's been an awesome time, and I want to take a minute and give you guys a rundown of kind of my day one experience, how everything went down, what the meta is looking like, and if you stick around until the end of this video, I got kind of a spicy take about the one thing that this event is missing, and I don't think anyone out there is going to be able to guess what it is. But first and foremost, I was surprised by the number of people here yesterday. I know this is a video about Calling day one, but Friday, before the Calling, the first day of SCG-Con with the Team Blitz event and a lot of side events and people just hanging out, the number of Flesh and Blood players was awesome to see. We had an entire full side of the room of people getting together and just jamming Flesh and Blood. And speak of the devil, the Team Blitz event was such a good time. It was not the most highly competitive event, but I have been on the record of saying I think the community needs more events just like that. An excuse for people to get together, to hang out and play Flesh and Blood. And the Team Blitz event was just that. It was an awesome experience. I was on Team Motown Buds with Mo Bogsley and the Fresh and Buds podcast. I tanked the team, but we had a good time. We had some dinner, laughter, and that's what it was all about. So it was cool to see the room full, cool to see that many people playing, and there was also tons of pickup games, and I love to see that just for the health of the community, guys. You love to see tons of pickup games, people playing Flesh and Blood, people trading, and people filling the vendors all around you. So that was Friday, but the main event, the big one, day one of the Calling happened today, Saturday, and it was an awesome time. The number, I believe, was around 455. There's around 455 players, as we hear an overhead announcement go off right now because we're recording live, and that's how we do things around here. The number was around 455 players at that event, which is a decent number, but I must point out that there were several players that were here not even to play in the event, to play in side events, and just to play pickup with one another, just to play Flesh and Blood, visit the vendors, experience the game in the community. You'll love to see that, and I emphasize that we need that. We need those players to file in, fill out the community, play these events, so it was cool to see them hanging out and getting some reps in. But the main event fired, and that means it's time to start talking about our assumption of the meta and how that works. And for that, I leaned a lot on Team Ascent. So those guys are out there jamming games right now. They are crushing it in their fresh new jerseys. Let's pull Ascent over here. They are out there crushing it, and they had some assumptions coming into this event about what the meta would and would not be. Now, everyone knows Starvo has been blowing up the meta. He's been a menace. He's been all over the place. But the community saw a light. They saw the bright light come through in the last week of ProQuest when Prism actually overtook Starvo for the percentage of ProQuest wins. And because of that statistic, it was assumed that a lot of people are going to pivot onto this Prism deck. And we thought, and Ascent thought, that more people would pivot onto this Prism deck than would either practice it or tech against it. And what that's going to do is that's going to create a saturated meta with players who might be first timing a deck. They might not have as many reps on the deck, and that's going to lead to a lot of variance in play. Now, Starvo is still a factor. While Prism is this new shining light, she's getting out there, she's taking home some wins. Starvo is still a beast. Starvo's out here. Starvo is throwing dominated attacks and getting wins, just not at the rate that I thought I would see. There's a lot of Starvo players, and there's a lot of very good and talented Starvo players, but I'm not seeing the number of bulk Starvo players that I thought I would, and that is surprising me and also kind of exciting me because maybe something's been unlocked where the meta is going to make a drastic shift or open up a little bit. So it was really cool to see. There has been some dark horses in the meta. Viserai, not really a dark horse, but was kind of negated due to Starvo. Viserai is out here in some pretty good numbers. I believe the most common Viserai strategy is the OTK strategy, but a lot are looking to pivot into the aggro package in certain matchups. And because of the prism explosion, or it's not an explosion, but the prism tilt on the scales, we are seeing decks like Lexi and Katsu find some space out here and be able to get some wins. So it's awesome to see all these decks. We do have a couple OG Guardians, maybe not OG Guardians, but there's an Oldhim. I've heard of one OG Guardian and some random dark horses. There's a lot of Kanos, and shout out to the winner of the Pro Quest. I believe the gentleman's name was Justin. Don't ostracize me if I'm wrong. I apologize. But there are a good number of Kanos, people going for glory, trying to get that Kano win, trying to, really be able to tell their story. I have seen a surprising number of Rhinar. There's some good Rhinar out here. Talked about Oldhim, and I know there's at least one, if not a couple, Azalea in the field trying to shoot some arrows and fight their way through. So it's a really healthy meta. There's a lot going on. It was a very cool experience from day one. I'm excited to see what day two brings, and this place is an absolute buzz. People are talking. People are jamming games. The vendors can't get a word in edgewise. And it's important to note that the number of Flesh and Blood players and the number of Magic players appears very similar from an aesthetic standpoint. Now, when those numbers come out, we'll have more information. But the numbers at times throughout the day have felt very equal. It's felt extremely similar. The room feels like it has reached a balance. It's really cool to see. I've enjoyed it so much. And the vendors have an interesting perspective. They're out here selling Flesh and Blood to Magic the Gathering players who are trying to get into the game. They're wanting to experience something new. They're wanting to get out there, try the game out, see what all the hype is about. And I think the only thing that this event is missing is something like the classic Battles deck. Something where our awesome vendors, this MinMax, shout out MinMax Games, who's let me use their booth for recording, can sell to these players and say, hey, you have a new player, you and a friend want to experience this game, we can package this together, it's going to walk you through, you're going to learn how to play this game, and then those serious players can make the decision whether or not they want to dive in deeper. They got some great swag, they got some great stuff. But MinMax is supplementing that a bit. They have awesome starter decks that they are selling right here, right next to me. They're also selling all number of singles. They are selling sealed product. These guys buzzing around me have not stopped selling since I sat down. It's been insane. But guys, this has been the Calling Day 1. It's been an incredible experience for me. I want to give a huge shout out to the Fresh and Buds podcast. If you haven't checked them out, check them out on YouTube. I want to give a bigger shout out for MinMax Games because, well, Fresh and Buds played with me. MinMax Games gave me their space, which they are still regretting to this day. It's been an awesome time. Shout out to everyone here. I loved the chance to shake some hands, meet everyone out there. So shout out to you guys so much. And again, we'll get back to you tomorrow about day 2. I think at this point I'm out of stuff to say. I'm going to go jam some games and there's some side events I'm going to go get in. So until next time, my name is Josh, and we'll see you around.